Find the clock.
Okay, now you're good.
There you go.
Good. Roll call?
Jess Reyes,
Here.
Freddie Bryant, Thomas Martin,
Here.
Michaela Gatewood,
Here.
Gail Tarson,
Here.
and Commissioner Garza.
Here.
All right, let's, approving the minutes from last meeting. Did everybody have a chance to review them? First.
Because I was absent, I'm,
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes?
Please, yes.
Sure can.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Jess.
There we go.
All right, so do we have two for tonight or just one?
Just
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just have the one application for this evening. The application by the Chamber and Civic Center has been withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. All right, Desiree, you are up.
Okay. Tom, do I speak from here? Do I go to the center? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, all right. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Desiree Markham, and I'm the Development Director with KENW. As some of you probably know, we broadcast from Portales, New Mexico, off the campus of Eastern New Mexico University, and we are the public broadcasting station for this region and beyond. We extend into West Texas and then north of Raton into actually Colorado as well. This is my news director, Christopher LeClaire. He moved here to New Mexico from Florida about 2 months ago, and he is also public affairs director for the station. And I'm going to talk about a project that we're working on a little bit later. In the proposal, what we are looking to do as the station, in the time of COVID, this has been a difficult time for New Mexico and for the nation. And economically, we've been hit very hard. And so what we're doing is looking at new ways to fund projects that are going to be beneficial to everyone in reboosting tourism and rebooting the economy and helping small businesses, especially that have been hit hard. In doing that, we're always seeking new underwriters. However, instead of going after individual businesses and inviting them to partner, what we've now decided to do is address lodger's tax as a possibility to do this. And what I mean is we are going to start producing our own regionally broadcast programs that are specific to KNW. One of those is going to be the Flying J Wranglers Christmas Concert, which is addressed in the proposal, with production cost associated with that. And with the promos for that, and since it is a Christmas concert, we will air it simultaneously on television and radio throughout the month of December. And when we do that, we'll be able to attach advertisements that are the so-called underwriters of that Christmas show. So for instance, something from Clovis could look like, if there's going to be a Christmas parade this year, we can promote that Christmas parade and say that the Flying J's Christmas Concert is actually brought to you in part by a grant from Clovis Lodgers Tax, and then insert whichever event you have coming up. And we can do this over the course of the year. So this would be enough funding for us to extend this into 2021 with the other programs that we're producing. So this is where Chris comes in again. We are actually working on more programming that is going to be a show that highlights different entrepreneurs and businesses across the state. In fact, we leave for Raton tomorrow. We just spent the entire afternoon at Caliber's with Greg, and we're highlighting what they're doing there and trying to tell the stories of individuals and their businesses. And in doing so, we're hoping to help promote and then let people know who are the people behind the businesses that we hope to support and promote. And with this funding, we will be able to do this. And as I said, we can attach whichever businesses or events that Clovis or Curry County has to these individual productions or shows. And it works best, we found, if there's a liaison from either the chamber or the city that would like to work with me on what those advertisements look like. And so we've done this so far with the city of Raton and with the city of Carlsbad. And so we're hoping that Clovis will say yes to be our number 3, because we're in Portales, so you're our next door neighbor, and Clovis is one of the largest cities in our broadcast coverage area. So I think a partnership would be ideal. So if anyone either on the committee itself or, like I said, from the chamber or from the city would like to work with me on being kind of that liaison to help promote certain events. And we can change these. That's the other thing. we can have multiple announcements that change throughout the course of the year, because as we know with COVID, things seem to change almost day to day, week to week. And so we can alter and change these at any time at no additional cost. It's simply a production that's included in the proposal.
Thanks, Desiree. And Christopher, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here's my thought, and I'll see how the rest of the board feels. But for me, the first question, and for the board, the first question we ask is, does this bring in tourism? And I think in a way that it does, but from my perspective, you would be part of the marketing plan for somebody else that comes to approach us. So if we do have a holiday event, you would be on their marketing plan as to where they were spending lodgers tax money to promote that event. Right. Because we're looking at specific things that bring in tourism, and then you would, the way I look at it is that they would approach you as to spend those marketing dollars promoting that. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts or feelings, or if the city has any thoughts.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
No, Leanne and I are sitting over here brainstorming how this could potentially work, because yes, typically individual groups would come to the Lodgers Tax Board, request money, and as part of their marketing package, like Mr. Martin said, and go to you to then pay to have it advertised on your channel.
Correct.
However, in this particular situation, it's the city does have some of our own in-house events. For example, unfortunately this year we didn't have our Easter egg hunt, or even from promotion of our zoo, which could be tourist related, trying to attract those outside dollars in. And so trying to think how we could potentially use them as a source, and this as a source to promote the city of Clovis and what the city of Clovis has to offer, not necessarily from an event based. And we do have a new communications and marketing director, Kelsey, if you guys haven't met her yet. But so there may be a way for us to partner with them. I just haven't put it all together yet, and being able to put that value on there.
Correct.
I'm not sure how we dictate that value.
Yes, and it is, and that is the number one question too for me when I was putting the proposal together, to decide what that looks like. And I think in my mind, from where I'm coming from with this, I am trying to see where it does get the most people here to Clovis, to Curry County, to be spending their money and staying the night. And with that, we could work with the individual vendors who put on events, but most of the events are arguably done by the chamber or the city. And so that's why we thought lodgers tax might be the better approach. Again, this is a little creative and a little bit untraditional for sure. And I certainly do recognize that, but I think that the benefit would be there in that we could do so many under that umbrella, because we could get as many in as you wanted. And if you did, with this amount, we can do daily announcements up to literally 10 a day based on this price breakdown, and that's television and radio. So we could do this per every one, and then it's actually the city helping in that promotion. And then with new requests that come in from individuals, they wouldn't have to ask for as much if they even plan to market with us, because a lot of folks don't. Again, being public broadcasting, it's a little bit different. Sometimes we get forgotten about, but again, we have a new public affairs director, so this is really going to change, and I hope this time next year things are going to look really different. But I think that's my hope, in that maybe this will help kind of offset and almost be kind of a relief for the individuals who maybe can't. Not that we could include some businesses and exclude others, but in terms of events, since this is lodgers tax and we want lodgers in Clovis, whatever is going to get people physically here, and because we have that reach that goes outside of Clovis, our commercial friends who we have great partnerships with are great here, but we're actually reaching people in Texas, and we're reaching people in Colorado, and we're reaching people over in Ruidoso and trying to bring them to Clovis. And since we have that reach, I think it's what makes us unique to choose to advertise with, and we can promote whomever, like, possibly that even comes down the pike that we don't even know about. Dragging Maine, I know it's been postponed till 2021, but that can definitely be a possibility as part of this same proposal.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, maybe it's something to where we, this year, start with kind of a blanket, and then as we work our way into it with the city of Clovis, with the city of Clovis working into it, and then kind of give us a better tracking of how this could potentially work, because like I said,
Right.
most of the events the chamber comes to it. I mean, the Main Street program comes to us, the Clovis Softball Association comes to us. And so they typically ask for those marketing dollars within their own applications. And then so
Right.
as far as us in the future being able to remind them of, hey, there's also KENW down in Portales that
True.
has a larger market than what we traditionally go to. But I do think that there could be some potential for the city of Clovis to be able to utilize and be able to advertise our events, starting out with as a partnership underneath this umbrella.
Yeah, that would be excellent. And in terms of production, we can also come in now, and since we do have new employees, to be able to produce and like cover those events, and then, turn around and have that on the air, I think would be fantastic.
Commissioner, did you have something?
I'm a little confused. I thought the state statute specifies that the lodger's tax collected here are for advertising local community, but again, when you have a TV program, they can go everywhere. I think it's just a little confusing for me as to how we can qualify for those dollars, or having them qualify for the money that we collect on the taxes.
And Justin, are you saying it would come through the city's partnership or Lodgers Tax specific, or is it just something you want to think about from the city's perspective
It's,
on how to possibly partner up on that ability to market through
Yeah,
another channel?
and I think it's definitely something I want to, because like I said, coming into tonight, I wasn't real clear of what the picture was going to be.
Right.
And so I think there's nothing in state statute that says that because the lodger's tax dollars are awarded here in Clovis, you could take those dollars, and other events have done it. I mean, for example, Main Street, they've gone and put advertisements on movie theater screens in Lubbock.
Right,
And
yes.
so I
Yeah,
think
you
we're
can
able
put
to.
money into that specific way of promoting an event.
Correct.
So, yeah, I guess it can be done. I just a little confused here as to how we can do that.
And because we're not tying it to a specific event.
Right.
And that's where I need to kind of wrap my head around how we could potentially make that work.
Right, we have the chamber stating that they're gonna be advertising the Pioneer Days, then they'll get the money and they can go spend it with them.
Correct.
And that's how it's working right now. I mean, you go to the newspaper, you go to the Facebook, you go to local vendors and do the promotion, radio stations. So we can do that with the TV station. But again, somebody has to have a specific event and then say, well, we're gonna give you lodger's tax money so you can go with them or with whoever they think is logical to do so. So that's why I'm saying I'm a little confused as to how we can do this and be able to spend the dollars. To give you $10,000 and you say you're gonna promote Clovis, it's a little iffy. It has to have an event tagged to that amount so we can really be able to qualify those funds going to you. So that's my concern.
Correct, and I'm tracking with you as far as us awarding dollars to events and then the city of Clovis paying separate underwriting fees to promote that exact same event. 100% understood, and that's why I was thinking more of the city in-house events. Initially, like I said, are promoting our zoo, which is a tourist attraction, or promoting our Easter egg hunt, the events that we have within the city of Clovis as our own organization that we put on, potentially being able to market those type events.
Right.
Would that not be tied to an advertising budget with the city, though, rather
That-
than lodger's tax?
I mean, that's another avenue. We do have to have internal budgets as well, yes.
Yeah, and again, I think you are being creative, and I think it's spurned thought, which is what we need. It feels a little stagnant around here these days. Well, also, when you pull up to the city, I pulled up to City Hall and thought, this is, it's going to be a quick meeting, because nobody's here. I learned really quickly to go to the right spot. But my thought was that you keep an eye on where lodger's tax, who's being approved for lodger's tax, and you approach them to say, here's how we can market you.
Right.
But again, I mean, I
Absolutely.
think,
No, and I think you're right. And that's the way it needs to be approached that way. The criteria that we use here is how you generate room nights, because that's how we collect the monies to be able to fund events.
Right.
So it would be kind of hard for us to say, yeah, we give you $10,000, but how you gonna justify that you're generating room nights? It's kind of a tricky thing.
Exactly,
Is
yes,
that your
Mr.
thought?
Garza, you're 100% right. And that's why if we had, which COVID's so irritating for so many reasons, but if we had a set schedule that we
this is
knew
one
which
of them.
events were coming, and then,
Right.
we could say for sure, we could cover all of these events. So essentially, this is saying that we can cover every event that happens in Clovis or Curry County from today to this time next year, so over the next 52 weeks. But because that has a big kind of question mark next to it now,
Right.
you're exactly right. There's no way for us to run the numbers to see what those events could possibly bring in to then say, is the 10,000 justified by the hotel room? So I completely understand.
Right, and I think it's a good venue for us to have, or for the people that want to have events, that they can go with you guys and spend the money with you guys. So in essence, we don't have to give you any money. But
Right.
again, you might be able to get money from those events. They want to advertise, they go with you. So it can be a win-win situation. It's just a matter of how we're going to approach that.
Okay.
And who's going to have an event. We're going to have another meeting here in 3 months. So maybe by then, everything is changed, and we're going to have a bunch of events coming up. And everybody should be able to benefit from that.
Absolutely.
So, I'm thinking at the end of the year, it's over and done with. We're not going to need these things anymore. I can actually guarantee that.
And Mr. Chair and Commissioner Garza, and the other way I see it is kind of like advertising like in New Mexico True magazine.
Right.
And so it's kind of a broader advertisement of the city of Clovis in general,
Yeah.
just
And-
as a correlation.
And I'm surprised we
Yep.
never had that before, because I think it's a good programming. I mean, there's a lot of elderly people that watch that show, the programs that you have to offer.
Experienced and wise people, you mean?
Yes, I'm sure there's some young ones here that don't do that, but again, it's a good programming.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
And I think everybody should be able to benefit from it. So I'm glad to see Chris here, and I think that, what happened to the other program director?
Well,
Just
we
retired?
actually had, we've been up to a lot of things at the station, so I'm really excited. Our FM director, because he's both FM news director and public affairs director, so he kind of wears two hats, and then now we're joining in together to be production director. But Janet was Chris's predecessor, and so
Okay.
during the time of COVID is when she left the university, because we fall under ENMU in terms of our board of regents, so
Okay.
we kind of share that hat as well. So we're with them, but then we're also distinctly separate and unique, and because our reach goes so far, yeah, we're kind of our own strange entity, but that has so many possibilities that I'm just really wanting to work with as many people as possible, but particularly Clovis, because you have such fantastic people here, and I think there's just such great partnerships that we can have.
Well, thank you.
And so from a PBS standpoint, there are a lot of children's shows that I've watched a lot of. And so how far out does the local PBS go to? So if somebody was to advertise on PBS, I mean, trying to catch that audience, where's that being aired?
So-
Is that being aired in Lubbock and Amarillo from our local? How does that work?
So that's a great question. So with FM and then with TV, we overlap some, but then we're also very different in terms of like where the reach is and kind of like where our towers and transmitters are. And I'm not an engineer, so forgive me. But on the TV side, our FM reaches into West Texas more than on the TV side. So KTTZ is actually the local public broadcasting station that's in Lubbock. And in fact, it's actually a funny story because I used to work there. When I was working on my PhD at Texas Tech, I was also there at that station. And so with the way that our towers are, it's all about, simplistically put, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of the taller your tower, the further your reach, right? And so KTZ at the time actually ended up building a taller tower because people were into Lubbock still hearing KE&W, and then the people in Lubbock are like, wait. So they changed that and they built a taller tower. So, and of course it's Texas, so they were a little bit offended. But we start to drop off from an FM perspective at about Littlefield, going that direction, Hereford going toward Amarillo, and then Andrews and Midland right now are offline, but we're working on getting that back online because we have to work under FCC guidelines. In terms of television, it depends on if you have, and sorry it's not a short answer, but it depends on if you have an antenna, satellite, or direct TV, because now that people are getting cable packages, so we technically have 3 channels, 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. So again, to broaden our reach and reach as many as we can. So if you're watching majority children's programming, you'd be on 3.3?
Yeah, you'd be 3.1 or 3.3. Here, I can jump in on this. So if you're watching our children's programming, it's going to be 3.1 or 3.3, depending on the time of the day. We also have 3.4, which is Indigenous programming, which we are able to put. It's a 24-hour Indigenous program. But 3.1 and 3.2 on cable will actually, cable reaches into Albuquerque and all the way up into Santa Fe and then down into Las Cruces. If you have Dish TV, you can actually get us all the way out to near Gallup. And then if you have Dish, you do actually get us in Lubbock as well on Dish. You get both PBS affiliates, KTTZ, and us as a second option. And we do have flexibility on all 4 channels. So if it is something, I know that this is Indigenous Peoples Month and Native American Awareness Month. So like we are doing kind of some special programming on 3.4. And if Clovis were to do something as a community, we could put promotions for it on that.
Okay, thank you. It's pretty broad reach.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, good, that was a good analogy or a comparison with regard to the magazines we. Okay, but at this point, I would say this doesn't fall under lodger's tax.
Yeah, and I would say from this evening, I think it's a larger conversation to be had, and to think, like I said, to think how we can utilize their services, not only as a city, but also promoting them as an avenue for our events that do come in and make applications to lodger's tax. Because to be honest with you, I hadn't really thought about,
Yeah, I
like I said,
agree.
advertising our zoo or something on PBS where you have those parents with their children watching those programs. That may be another outlet for us to try and promote that.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Jess?
I just want to say that I really like the idea of the program. If we could figure out how to get it to qualify for the lodger's tax, I think it would be really great. In a time of COVID, it's really important that we are creative and figure out ways, because there aren't any events going on,
That's
so
the
nothing
problem.
is bringing in any tourism right now, so anything helps. But so if we can tie your idea to an event or somehow get it to qualify for this, I would be happy to help. That's
I
just
would
the only issue.
so what I would just throw in really quick as a suggestion, for example, and we are public media, so we're not here to create advertisements for you. However, when we're going to Raton, we're doing spotlights on B&Bs, cafes, coffee shops. I just got done spending 3 days filming down in Roswell at one of the coffee shops there, and so we're doing a whole highlight. And granted, they did not pay us to do it, but when people see and hear the story of that coffee shop owner and see the coffee, and my PhD research is in coffee houses, so we actually sit down and have a talk about it, and she shows me how to make coffee. So people are going to say that, and in return, when we do highlights on the B&Bs, people, I mean, it's not advertising, but media affects, you know, they see these little vignettes, and they're also going to go online on a shareable format. So, you know, while our geographic reach might just be New Mexico, West Texas, Colorado, and then the panhandle of Oklahoma for our broadcast, I mean, online, it's, you know.
Kayla, Gail, did you have anything?
No, I have nothing to add that hasn't already been caught.
All right, well, thank you. Yeah, again, thanks for coming. Christopher,
course.
welcome to Eastern New Mexico.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Desiree.
Thank you.
Any other discussions for this evening? So do we need to,
Do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to not accept this application as presented, and then, of course, we'll go back and continue to work with them to figure out how we could potentially make something work. Like I said, I haven't thought about this avenue before in the past, so I'm glad you put in an application.
Fantastic.
so this is our discussion part, so.
Yeah, I would make a
And
motion.
just
Or
make
I'll
a
make a-
motion to, yeah,
I'll make a motion to decline.
a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you both. And do I need to,
Yeah, roll, you can do an all in favor.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All opposed?
You all can do it at the same time.
And all opposed? Anyone who opposes? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So are we good to adjourn?
Well, for
All
the
right.
good of the order. not-
Yeah. Good to the order, anybody?
Okay.
All right, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Jeez, sorry.